Good morning, guys. It is the first day of the new year. And what are we going to do today? We're going to draw, ladies and gentlemen. What you have in front of you right now is a Grogu I did for my niece. We did a little live drawing session with her, and I'm looking forward to doing another class with her this weekend. My wonderful niece, Cassidy. Shout out to you and your wonderful mother, my sister Molly. Love you guys so much. And Brad, can't forget him either. So today, what are we going to do? We're going to draw something. We're going to figure it out as we go along. But to start off, we got to do our drills. We got to do our warm-ups. What do I have in front of me today? I have McCafe. Got some coffee. It is only about a third drunk. So as the podcast goes on, I hopefully will wake up, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year to you all. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate all my friends and relations reaching out to me and saying Happy New Year. And I want to do the same to you. So Happy New Year to all you out there. This should be public. I think it's public. So if you don't know me and you're just tuning in because you're random clicking around videos on the internet, Happy New Year to you too. Cheers. Got water in the Yeti. Got OJ in the McCafe. Got OJ in a McCafe plastic cup. And I got coffee in a paper cup. The trifecta. Took vitamins. I am taking requests, ladies and gentlemen. Taking requests today. Get on a hard round brush. Just start making some shapes. Let's just warm up by making boxes. Always a good thing to start out. Boxes in perspective. How about some cylinders? Yo, girl, you like cylinders? I got some cylinders for you. We can draw cylinders all day together. Just want to draw some cylinders with you. All right, we got pyramids. We got to do triangles. Triangles are cool. Right triangle, something like this. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, something like that. Math. There's like a cute. This is an isosceles triangle, right? When the two bottom match. And then there's obtuse triangles that have some like crazy huge angle. And then there's acute angles underneath. Equilateral triangles have the same angle across, right? And isn't it that when you take the three of them, they have to combine and equal 180? Is that right? So you can do 360-degree angles and you get a equilateral triangle, something like that. Trying to remember high school geometry. Got some cylinders. It's another page. What else should we draw? We could draw the webcam. Do a portrait of you guys out there. Portrait of the internet. Looks something like this. That's what you look like. You might not know that, but it's good to be reminded. A little orange doodad right there. And like a tiny little red like reflection in a very dark field. Something like that. Warming up, just warming up. What's up, Drew? How you staying warm these days? How you staying toasty? I saw you by a fire. I saw you hanging out by a fire, I think, on a live stream for Art of Craftsmanship. Was I imagining that? I think you were there, right? That was fun. You guys were outside. I thought about just driving over, wearing a mask and be like, hey, photo, I'm going to bomb this stream. I'm going to crash the stream. Run around the backyard with a flare. Ah, look at me. Didn't see this coming. Didn't see Turbo showing up. Thought about it. Didn't do it. Didn't want to steal away the fire from you guys. Didn't want to steal the attention. It looked like fun, though. Congratulations, Art of Craftsmanship, 100,000 subs. That's awesome, man. That's a big inspiration. Drew, you already know this, but if it wasn't for your brothers making video, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be doing this thing. Oh, are you hanging out with Dustin right now? Say what up. What up? My boy loves his axe. For all y'all not in the know, I commissioned Mr. Dustin to make an axe for my boy Josh, who just got a new house. And that axe came out great. Got the boiled linseed oil. Going to be doing some wood massaging with the boiled linseed oil. Make that handle nice and slick. So what am I doing here? I'm kind of like sci-fiing out this box. Like just making lines and like some science fiction box thing. Let's put some wings on this box. Put some like XWing turbo lasers on the side of this box. I'm starting to think it might be an airplane day. Why? Because I watched Mandalorian episode 15 and 16 again last night, thinking I want to use up my Disney Plus membership and then cancel it. Yeah, we're just going to go draw an X-Wing. Let's just draw an X-Wing because that's what I'm thinking about right now. New drawing. Let's use a green line. Let's make the background a little bit lighter. Gray up. Yeah, Dustin's online. He's like, hey, buddy. Dustin's reminding me with the boiled linseed oil that when you are handling your handle on your axe to rub it down with oil once a week for a month, once a month for a year, and then once a year after that. Letter B, Chris Gobiel and Kristen Tiberius Kirk like the drawing. Thanks for sending likes, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're hanging out. Hope you're lurking. We're just warming up. We're getting started. I think I'm going to draw an X-Wing. I think I'm going to draw Luke Skywalker's X-Wing out of my head. Now we start with a very phallic shape, which is the core of the ship. And I know what you're thinking, Tom. I know what you're thinking. All right, so we made the nose of the airplane too long. So now the back doesn't fit. So now we can just shrink it down a little bit. Select Control T. Transform. Lock S foils in attack position. That's coming off the bottom there. So the wings on the X-Wing are reverse swept. They're kind of the leading edge is flat and the trailing edge is swept forward. So they're not forward swept wings. They're actually straight wings that have a kind of a drag reducer on the back, which is just not that aerodynamic. I mean, I guess it was aerodynamic for like 1939. Like they thought, hey, that's how you do wings. Make them straight in the front and slick on the back. That's how we do a reduced drag back there. And they're like, they just forgot the leading edge drag. And they weren't flying supersonic back in those days. So they didn't know what they were talking about. They didn't know that you needed some delta wing. They weren't all hot in the delta wing yet. They didn't have enough thrust. Didn't have enough thrust for it to make sense. Drew and Dust hanging out in the shop. What you making? What are they making? So it's generally cylinders for the engines, the intakes, and the wing comes up off the bottom of the cylinder. And there's something like that. I'm thinking of Poe Dameron's X-Wing had like a wing shape with a half cylinder, I think. And then the top wing had the top half and the bottom wing had the bottom half. And these wings actually stacked in a really interesting way. That was one of the cool designs of the Force Awakens. It was like an advanced X-wing where the wings split. It wasn't just two wings stacked. It was a split wing, and they went up and down at the same time. That was pretty dope. I liked Kylo Ren, and I liked Poe Dameron's X-wing, and that's about it from the sequel series. That's about it. Kylo Ren was, I mean, Adam Driver's a great actor. He made me feel for that dude. But boy, Episode 8 sucked. God, it was just so disappointing. Just so disappointing. Thank goodness for Dave Filoni and Favreau giving the fans what they actually wanted with Mandalorian. Mandalorian was great. That's what we wanted, not this like bullshit JJ Abrams starburst sky effect stuff. JJ, you just need to like take a vision quest, man. You need to go get yourself lost in the desert in the jungle somewhere, read some books, and then learn how to tell stories that people actually give a damn about. Because no one cares about your like, eye candy's just eye candy. It's just candy. It's just empty calories if there isn't something meaty behind it. If you got no peanut butter in your Twix bar, actually Twix doesn't have peanut butter. It's got caramel. If you got no peanut butter in your Reese's Pieces, then it's just chocolate. Then it's just hollow chocolate. That's what JJ movies feel to me. They feel like hollow candy. It's just the candy shell with no like calorie rich interior like nougat that you could like sink your teeth into. You have your astromech droid up there, got your R2D2 on top. Get your photon torpedo tubes. Proton torpedoes? Photon torpedoes? I forget which one's which. One's a Star Trek weapon and one's a Star Wars weapon. I think it's proton in the Star Wars universe and am I right about that? Someone correct me. Some nerd out there needs to correct me on my space weapons terminology. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so right now I got a glitch where I'm not seeing, I think I have caps lock on. All right, yeah, that's it. Caps lock in Photoshop changes a lot of your controls. And I don't know why. Oh, I don't know why. I don't know why. Can't get enough of your love, baby. So for these lasers to stack when the wings are closed, it's got to be on the higher side of this wing. So if we have the straight part of the wing coming out, and then there's the round cylindrical part of this laser housing has to be above it. This is drawing really weird. Why is it 30%? Okay, so I'm drawing 30%, and that means these lines are weak. Let's bring it up. Let's go 60, 70%. Let's try that. Oh yeah, it's more satisfying. And then I remember there's a cowling around the front part of it. Some kind of Venturi effect air intake business. Let's flip the canvas. I want to make more space, and it's not letting me do it. Okay, I had to detach the tools from the right side in order to shrink it, right? Can I do that? Oh, it's not letting me narrow it. I want that to be narrower. I don't want that. Close? Nope, I need my tools. Window, color, okay. Ugh, ugh. Not doing what I wanted to do. Eliezer Medina says JJ Abrams' 2013 Star Trek was awesome though. It was fun, but at that point, he's like purely remaking something that wholly existed before and changing 4 things about it. Right? Right? Like he's working on a completely developed canon. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, the best thing he did was casting. Dude, I'm still mad about Lost. I just feel like I wasted so much of my time. I feel like JJ wasted millions, millions of man hours of people's time on a terrible story. He gets you hooked with this idea. Like, oh, what the idea is that there's a plane that crashed and people have gone to this purgatory hell thing. And you're like, ooh, that's interesting. That's a cool idea. That's a neat idea. I'm curious about that. But this is something I realized watching Game of Thrones. Something realized watching Game of Thrones. That show was pretty dope as long as they were following the books that old writer dude came up with. But as soon as those directors started like winging it themselves, like rolling their own story, it went off the rails. It went off the rails. And why does that happen so easy? Well, those directors are specialized in making TV shows. They're not specialized in making interesting stories. Like making a TV show and making an interesting story aren't the same thing. Like interesting stories, like really, really interesting. The reason the Bible works so well is because it was a bunch of stories that were passed down by people in, in campfire chats for thousands of years. And only really good stories get retold like that. And you have to have a premise, a conflict, a second conflict, and some kind of climax resolution thing where everyone learns something. And that's why we tell stories, is to teach people stuff. Like the whole idea of like the Bible, like the New Testament is full of parables. Now I'm an atheist, but I recognize what important storytelling is and why the hero's journey works. Why George Lucas investigated the hero's journey, and now Star Wars is the most universal narrative piece of anything ever. Like I think Star Wars is bigger than any of the books, any of the religious books in history. I mean, from a financial point of view, it absolutely is at this point. Disney's got more money than the Vatican, right? I don't think that's contestable. Now, does Disney have an army of people that are willing to fight to the death for them? Probably not. Meanwhile, the Vatican's got the Swiss Guard, but that's a whole nother conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, the coffee's kicking in. What I'm trying to say is JJ Abrams, there is an established pattern of telling stories that are satisfying to the viewer who want to watch them again and again and again. And there is nothing satisfying about the new Star Wars series. It's just disappointment. The same with Game of Thrones. Those last 2 seasons were just disappointing. And why would you tell that story? That's the question that was left with me. Why would I sit for 8 seasons and listen to a story when the hero doesn't win? You've just wasted my time. You've wasted my time. So the amount of cumulative time that JJ has wasted and those guys who ran the HBO Game of Thrones thing have wasted. Because if the story, if the story stinks, it doesn't get retold generation to generation to generation. So why does anyone spend $100 million rendering the story into its full potential? Everyone involved in that just looks like a bunch of dummies. And now I'm probably never going to get an HBO subscription ever again because they let me down so hard. They wasted so much of my time. You know what I'm saying, Al? You know what I'm saying? What do you think? I mean, there was pretty stuff. And like everyone likes something that's pretty. I mean, who doesn't like looking at something pretty every once in a while? We like flowers. We like it when kids smile and you know the baby animals, cute animals. We like that a lot, especially the cuddly cute animals like koala bears and stuff. Elle, I know you love the Marvel movies, too. I know you love Marvel. Actually, I don't know that you love the Marvel movies. I would love sometime to hear your opinion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because I was trying to click through them to think what Marvel movie would I watch again. Now, I think I've seen all of them twice because I watched them all in theaters and then I watched them again before the next movie came out. Typically, I think the exceptions being like Guardians of the Galaxy, I've seen like 5 times. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. Why? Because it's Star Wars, and I've seen Thor Ragnarok like 5 times because it's hilarious and it's Star Wars, right? The closer Marvel is to Star Wars, the more like I'm going to see it again. Doctor Strange is a Jedi story, which is a Jesus story. I'm going to watch Doctor Strange on loop because Benedict Cumberbatch is amazing. He's amazing. And Tilda Swinton is all right. She's good enough. She's good enough. But dude, I just don't have any interest in seeing a Hulk movie again. I don't have any interest in seeing the first 2 Thor movies. Iron Man 1, I saw a whole bunch. That was pretty dope. Why was that pretty dope? Because it was a gunslinger superhero. I don't know, man. I mean, it kind of felt like a Mandalorian style thing too. Like he was kind of Boba Fett, right? Like Iron Man and Boba Fett got a few things in common. They got jetpacks. They got weapons coming out of their arms. They got rockets coming out of their back. Iron Man doesn't have pistols for some reason, but he should. I mean, like, why doesn't he have like a RoboCop like side piece that comes out of his thigh? That'd be dope. Love me some RoboCop. RoboCop was pretty good, man. I watched RoboCop a lot growing up. It's really violent. It's super violent. You forget how violent 80s movies were if you haven't watched an 80s movie in a while. I forget how violent Disney used to be. Like, it's kind of funny how tame, I mean, like how tame entertainment is. You might disagree with me on that. So growing up, like, let's talk about what our childhoods were like. I watched MacGyver, 8 Team, cartoons were G.I. Joe. No one died in G.I. Joe. There was a lot of bullets and laser beams and stuff. But no one, like, vehicles got blown up, buildings got blown up, but no one, like, got hurt. Watched a few classic westerns with my father, like submarine movies, bunch of war movies, Guns of Navarone. Big Red One. Mark Hamill was in a. Speaking of Star Wars, Mark Hamill was in a war movie. I think it was the Big Red One. Mark Hamill was in. Not one of his better performances. Man, like I love Chris Pine. Chris Pine as Kirk, I think was brilliant, and that's what JJ is good at. He's good at casting, and he's good at some aspects of image making. But as far as story goes, Dave Filoni, Favreau, that's where it's at, dog. Dude, was Favreau involved in Captain Marvel? I'm very curious about that. There was aspects of Captain Marvel I liked, like the Jude Law kind of narrative. Uh, I just, I don't want to get too involved with like the pro or con Brie Larson thing, like her picking her as. I just didn't feel anything from her. I just didn't think. I was never hooked or engaged or anything. The Nick Fury part was what was interesting to me, but the fact he was youngified for that movie made it like weird. because I'm just staring at the CG on Samuel L. Jackson's face the whole time and not really paying attention to what the plot is or if I'm stressed out or anything. Oh, all the Captain America movies. Not a lot of excitement about seeing any of those ever again. And it's not because I don't like the actors. I think Sebastian Stan and uh, Captain Chris are handsome men who do a pretty good job. And who doesn't love looking at Scarlett Johansson with a pair of Glock 23s, 42, whatever she's got. She's got the little Glocks. What's the little 9mm Glock with the short grip? 26? Glock 26s? I didn't realize how tiny Scarlett Johansson was until she was holding literally the tiniest Glock that Glock makes, and it looked normal size in her hands. Like, I thought she had Glock 17s. Nope, she's got the one that's like 40% smaller than a Glock 17. That means her hands are tiny. She's got some tiny baby hands. I didn't realize Scarlett Johansson was only 5'2". I thought she was 5'7". I thought she was a normal sized human being. Nope, she's Lapution. And that's why none of these guys stay with her, because they see her picture on the internet and they're like, man, she is special looking. And then they get up close, they put a ring on it, and they're like, man, you can't even balance this canoe we're sitting in. Girl, I gotta strap some like lead weights to you to hold down your end of the canoe. Too tiny. Too tiny. Like, seriously, if Black Widow, like actual Scarlett Johansson Black Widow, like wanted to take me down, and she jumps up with her like spiral, says her leg kick, and goes to flip me, I'm just knocked out. And I don't even know how to fight. 5'2", 100 pounds, and some tom people's elbow, boom, out, cold. No more threat. Dude, that's what Brie Larson doesn't want to deal with. The fact that people's elbow ain't gonna stop on no Scarlett Johansson. Look, I love her. I think she's super hot. I'm just saying, I don't believe it when she's taking down mobsters. Dan Hammond's here. Huge explosions that everyone somehow walked away from unscathed, right? Right? Ba-boom. Shockwaves go right through you. Turn your brain into mush. Dan's liking the 18. Dan's liking the 18. It's an interesting narrative, actually. The 18's talking about some former Special Forces bros who got disbarred or disbanded and arrested because they were doing some shady mission BS. They probably just got blamed for something that wasn't their fault. Like every commando unit gets blamed for something that wasn't their fault. And it's basically like a story of Blackwater, in a way. Contractors. Which ties into another one of my favorite narratives. Weird game, but great cinematic narrative is the Metal Gear series. Like Kojima, will that ever be a movie? Probably not. But that's that. I was listening to In Range TV talk about the gray areas between categorical things. And Kojima has this series, the Metal Gear series, which is now up to 9 games, something. And if you just watch the cinematics, it's like 20 hours of cinematics at this point, if not more. It might be 5 hours of cinematics per game. And there is an interesting story there about espionage and asymmetric warfare, like the nation states of the world using these elite mercenary forces to influence bigger powers asymmetrically. I think Kojima's a genius, and he might be up there with Tom Clancy in terms of understanding the global network of force projection and power and manipulation, media manipulation, especially Guns of the Patriots, Metal Gear 4. Am I right? Metal Gear 3 or 4? The PlayStation 3 one that came out 8 years back. Predicting what the media, or talking about what the media would go crazy by 2020. I think he was 100% right about stuff. PMCs, talking about private military contractors being influenced by foreign powers and foreign money, and money controlled by AIs, and the AIs trying to control the media and the narrative and stuff. I think it was on some of his predictions, Kojima's predictions were uncanny. And that's why I like science fiction, because science fiction tries to make predictions of what the future is going to be like. All right, we got to shrink this X-Wing down again because I want this thing to fit. I want it to fit. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys are having a good time out there. The caffeine finally kicked in, and Tom's having fun. I don't know if I could put this on YouTube later because I'm talking about giving Scarlett Johansson the people's elbow, and I don't think she'd appreciate that. It's not a real threat. I'm being silly. I'm being totally silly. Look, Scarlett Johansson was a crush of mine for like a good 15 years. Match Point. Ghost World. Ghost in the Shell. Loved her in Ghost in the Shell. I thought that was great. I thought Ghost in the Shell was the best anime to Hollywood conversion ever. I think they nailed it. I feel like, well, you might be like, Tom, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't really read anime. And I'd be like, true. But I've watched some of the Ghost in the Shell animated TV shows, and based on what I saw on the TV shows, granted, it probably was dubbed and the story changed a little bit to appeal to a Western audience, but I felt like they got the gist of it. They got the gist of it. The only thing that was a little weird was the tank battle at the end. I mean, that was pretty much straight conversion from the anime to the live action. I think it was the same freaking fight. Like there was very little different about it from the movie to the animated movie to the live action movie. I'm wondering if I should watch Mulan. El, did you watch Mulan with the kids yet? Live action. I hear there's some different things in it that are actually pretty good. I think I screwed this wing up. This thing looks like I think it needs to come out here and be more this way. I think that. So let's redraw that. How's this feel? Lock S foils in attack position. One X-Wing? Just one X-Wing? What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Oh, you have no idea who's in that X-Wing. Let's go. Let's go. Let's liken this out a little bit more. Rogue One was pretty good. There was some fun stuff. I think it could have. I would have liked a little bit more Mads Mikkelsen. I would have liked a little bit more of that Forrest Whitaker character. With the Bogolet. Bogolet will know. Bogolet will see through. What's that guy's name? Saw Gerrera. Saw Gerrera. Like Gerrera sounds like guerrilla war. Guarida. La guerra. The war, right? And guerrilla is a little war. Guerrilla. That's what I think his name. Guerrera is like a play on guerrilla war. Guerrilla. Eliezer says Maya watched it and was disappointed. Ooh, in Mulan. Dustin says Nick and Corinne and I watched Mulan. It was good. They liked it. All right. So somewhere in between. Maybe it's your expectations. I feel like Dustin, you got this sunny disposition. Like this is the dark secret about Dustin. Like the reason Dustin is so happy all the time and loves everything so much is because his expectation levels of everything are really low. Just really, really low. So anything's amazing. And I want to emulate that in my life. I just want to lower my expectations. Because if I could lower my expectations, then maybe I'd enjoy a JJ Abrams movie. Just want to enjoy some content instead of critiquing it the whole time. But that's what we do. We're artists. We make art. We critique art. The only way to get better at making art is by critiquing it and figuring out what you could do to make it better. So we got this laser beam thing isn't going the right way. Let's do that. So this is where the transform tool is kind of amazing. You can just select stuff and reshape it based on kind of what you need. Make it a little shorter. Star Wars. I think I want this wing to be a little bit higher. Tilt it up a little bit. Talking about Star Wars. Drawing some X-Wings. January 1st. Dustin saying, you definitely would. If I lowered my expectations, I would appreciate JJ Abrams movies more. That's not a knock on you, Dustin. I'm trying to be funny. Trying to say, like, my man's just smart about it. Just keeps really low expectations and stuff. And that way you're never disappointed. My mom told me this funny story that I had like my dad was working in New York City when I was born, and he was making good money in the city. He's good work in the city. He was working in New York, making bank. And I had this babysitter when I was a kid who would feed me caviar and other such expensive snack like liverwurst and I don't know what liver pate and stuff. Like my mom was horrified when she found out I had a bougie babysitter. Like, oh, we don't have any formula for little Tommy. We're gonna feed him caviar and liver pate on those expensive crackers that you get in the foreign food section. It's like, what? How did that happen? So someone refined my palate way too young before I had any business being around such substances. I was like a little kid. She must have thought it was funny. I'm gonna ruin this child by giving him outrageous expectations for reality. Like Connecticut is just too fake. I miss it. It's beautiful. Connecticut's a beautiful state. All the architecture and woodsy homes, and it just smells like money everywhere you go. Old money. This wing needs to be longer, I think. Gonna move this part up. And then make that bigger. For perspective reasons, we need to make it bigger. I don't want the end of the laser intersecting too much with the intake. Does that look better? I think that looks a little better. Who else is hungover this morning? I was going to say tomorrow. I'll be hungover tomorrow too. Had a little good time last night. Had a good time last 2 nights. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning into the podcast, Tomcast streaming session. Who else we got? We got a couple more likes today from Mark Christian, Emily Vanderhayden. Thank you for liking today's stream. And cousin Jeanette Sweeney. Thanks for liking the stream today. Allison Hope Liebgott likes it. I follow Allison's yoga and painting stuff on the Facebook. Thanks for liking the stream this morning. We're drawing X-Wings. Something like this. Let's talk about New Year's resolutions. What do you all want to do better in 2021? I love the metaphor of 2020 being 2020 eyesight, looking back, reflecting, introspective. 2020 was this year, like we got something as a society we didn't deserve, which was, this is controversial, a low death rate pandemic. You're like, Tom, 300,000 people died. As a percentage of the population, it's one of the lightest pandemics humanity has ever had. in terms of percentage of population affected. A lot of deaths, yes, but the population is huge. I had a conversation with my sister Molly yesterday. She's all negative about the future, and I'm like, humanity's still gonna be here. Like we're the deaths from this aren't even a blip on a cosmic scale. There's still 7 billion people on this planet. There is no worry about humans leaving the Earth in the next million years unless a meteor hits us. Global warming be damned. People are the most adaptable species on this planet, and we're going to figure out how to live wherever we have to live in order to survive. Humanity is not in jeopardy. We're not. We're not. There's 7 billion of us. And we're living in every biome on the planet, including the deep ocean. Got nuclear submarines. We got nuclear submarines, dog. They can make oxygen for 20 years. So we got a gift of everyone stay home, refocus on your family, find out who your really good friends are. Like, how many people have you talked to this year who said, look, man, I this year mostly sucked, but I learned who my friends were. I learned who my true friends were. What is the price tag on that? It's a subject I've had conversations with friends this year. What is the price tag for knowing that your boy is solid, who's gonna be there for you when you need him? That's priceless, man. And we were just going around the circle of my buddies talking about, like, well, what did it cost you to learn that somebody was a psychopath? Well, it took me $11,000 to learn that someone in my life was a psychopath. My buddy, it took him $27,000 to learn that person he was with was a psychopath. Another guy, it took him a huge collection of really hard to find, hard to acquire, priceless artifacts that ended up getting lost in a separation. Priceless. That's what it costs to learn that somebody was a psychopath and to get them out of their lives. You know, it's one of these non-empathy, sociopathic, selfish people. And I know people in my own family who are dealing with that separation. And what is it costing them? Millions. Millions. So what would you pay early in a relationship if it's like if an ounce of prevention is worth a pound to cure, and you knew that someday you were going to lose like $100,000 because of a toxic relationship, wouldn't you pay $10,000 up front to know whether you can trust this person or not? I think that's a deal. You just got to look at it from that bigger picture, right? Right? Now, some people are better judges of character than others, and I think one of the one of the ironic things is I think if you're a super narcissist, and look, I think the facts are like 1 in 5 people is some level of narcissist. I'll admit it. I've probably an unhealthy obsession with myself. But it's that ego also drives my ability to come on here and talk to y'all and speak my mind and draw pictures of X-Wings and nerd out in front of you all. So part of that ego, and I learned this from Nut and Fancy, one of my favorite YouTubers out there. Not everyone likes him, but I respect him. Lieutenant Colonel, retired Air Force. Or Air Guard, I'm not really sure. Air Guard or Air Force, but good dude, good family. Shares his opinion. He talks about you got to have an ego to do this. You got to have a little bit of an ego to do this thing. You got to have an ego in art school to stand up there in front of 20 other people who want to rip your art apart and realize that that ripping is good for you. Because this is something that you learn when you're an adult. As you get older, you learn that you stop getting feedback because people don't want you to be better. Like only the strong, real friends are going to tell you the truth and want you to get better. Most people just don't want to, they want to wash their hands of it. They want to get away from it. Oh, good job. You did all right. Don't you worry. You're still alive. That's fine. And those people are fine. But this year, people are learning who's going to be there when the chips are down, who really values you. And I learned that I went on a little trip. I learned my friend Lauren's going to be there for me when the chips are down. I know my buddy Dustin and Drew, they're going to be there if the chips are down. I know who the good people are. I know my buddy Danny up in Connecticut's going to be there if the chips are down. Yeah, there's a lot of people in my life who I won't mention for privacy reasons, but I know and I'm very fortunate. I can write in my journal at night. Wow, I'm grateful that, you know, I got a house, that I got some money in the bank, that I got opportunities and skill, and I'm grateful that there are probably a dozen people in my life that I could crash on a couch if the chips were down. And not everybody has that. Or maybe they got a couch that they can crash on, but it's not safe. Maybe there's some kind of risk. Maybe there's some quid pro quo involved in that. Like, man, I can go stay on Jimmy's couch, but I might have to go witness a crime, or I might have to like live in squalor. Maybe it's really dirty, or maybe it's, you know, I might have to you know, trade favors to stay on that couch at night in some way I'm not feeling comfortable with. You know, I don't want to owe this person something, but I know I got people, and I'm grateful in my life that there's like a dozen people. I could sleep in a guest bedroom and get a month's worth of meals. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that it's important to know who these people are in your life. Like, everyone should have that. And if you don't, it's not your fault that you don't have. Like, there are people out there with enough love and enough safety and security that are going to give you that. Because there's Christians, and then there's loving Islamic people who are hosts, and respectful Jewish people and respectful atheists who care about their fellow man, secular humanists who are willing to do that for somebody. And I think, you know, part of the preparedness for the future for all of us has to be not only identifying, maybe it's finding and identifying those places that you can go when the chips are down. You know, sometimes those people, the metaphor chips, right? It's a gambling metaphor. Maybe some of those people, those really good people that are important, that will be there for you, are going to say, get out of that chip game. You're in the wrong game. And they have to be pretty confident and not intimidated by you enough to say that and to take care of you. Because sometimes, like, we're our own worst enemy when it comes to self-harm and abuse. So we got to be willing to I think the golden rule, you have to be willing to be that for other people, because you have to understand what's involved, what the risk is involved, and you have to be humble enough to, you know, squash your own ego for the sake of your own health. All right. All right. What's Danny saying? A healthy ego gives us energy, passion, and permission to love, what we do, and engage life on our own terms. All right. In quotes. I gotta parse and make sense of that, but I like it. It sounds good. What do you think, Drew? You still listening out there? What's Drew's 2021 uh, goals, predictions? What do you want to do better? I want to be a better listener. It's hard to do in a stream because no one's talking. You just have to peek over at the chat every once in a while. Let's turn that down. What do we got, ladies and gentlemen? 48 minutes. Let's do 12 more minutes of drawing, and I'll let you all get on with your day. Let's do some colors in this, huh? Let's fill the background with some space. Oh, I should have flipped it back. Let's flip it back one more time. Image canvas, rotation flips horizontal. I want this section to go away. This corner bit. Huh. I'll figure this out another time. It's bothering me though. I think I can manually move them all into tabs, which I might do. God, that's annoying. So, geez, I'm just ruining everything. Just all going to heck. Put these tabs somewhere. Okay. Okay. There we are. We're better now. All right, this is fine. I don't love it. I think it's okay. I think that the lasers need to come back just a little bit. So let's just do that. Let's just select, move it back a bit. Back a bit. Now, I'm not drawing from reference here. I'm just drawing from my own imagination, my memory of the thing. Let's see. Can I bring this back like in there? Maybe that'll be good. So there's like a gap between the laser and the thing. Something like that. That's fine. Let's get some quick colors on here. So here's the background. Let's make sure there is a solid outline on this X-Wing. So get a nice solid brush. So there's something going around the outside. Let's go to 100%. 100%. Just like Rogan says, 100%. Hope everyone has a healthy new year. Do something healthy for yourself. Dan says, gotta head out. Peace, Danny. Drew says, yeah, man, we're here being a good dad and keep it up. Well, that's a great goal. Being a good dad, man. Keeping it simple. I applaud you. Man, I think I ranted myself out. I got all that rage out. Blame it on JJ Abrams. Something else I want to talk about today is how important and unimportant sports are at the same time. I can't tell you how little I care about the NFL this year. When there are people dying of a disease, watching other people hurt themselves for needless sports reasons is uncomfortable. However, what is important is having subject matters for people to talk about and debate that aren't always politics or religion or ideology or philosophy. Like having subject matter like sports to have water cooler conversations over with your coworkers, that is important. Having something to talk about that isn't like fundamental philosophy on life is also valuable. Oh man, did you see the Tyson fight? Oh yeah, I saw it. It was really weird. There was the but that and this punch and that and the and yeah. Oh, and I saw that thing too. That's why Star Wars is good. That's why these narratives are cool. That's why book clubs are cool. Having something to get the conversation going and build connection and familiarity between people over shared interests. I think that's good. So I'm wondering if we're going to see an evolution in sport because I think the NFL took a big income haircut this year. Not only was attendance way down, but just the interest in it. I think, look, Major League Baseball should have figured out a way. Maybe 2021 they'll figure this out. How to separate the fans out and have people in a space together, like maybe with 10 feet between them or something, to enjoy the national pastime in a casual but safe atmosphere. And I think if you're in the sun, the odds of you catching COVID while you're in direct sunlight are pretty low, especially if you're not talking at each other but out. I mean, I imagine the rate of spreading at a baseball game if you're in the sunlight would be pretty low. I don't know if you could knock concessions. Like, could you have fans and not sell drinks and snacks and make it entertaining? I wonder, like, could you do a 7 inning ball game? Bring the game down to 7 innings, do 100 games, and space out the attendance. Use some kind of algorithm, like programming, to group people together, but keep 6 to 10 foot gaps between them. and what the infection rate would be. I would imagine it'd be, if it was daytime outside, it would be very low. I would imagine the spread of COVID in a baseball stadium would be very low if you got rid of concession lines. I guess you could still have the vendors wearing masks, right? Hot dogs and beers in the stands. Maybe they're the ones who figure it out. And then have a 2-hour game, 7 innings, with no extra innings. 7 innings, and you can end it in a tie. I think that's what I would want. 100 games, fewer innings. Maybe make the bat bigger. I don't know. Professional wiffle ball. You got to do something. Forgot what I was doing. I was thinking about baseball. I was thinking about sports. And I'm not thinking about my spaceship. What's your favorite movie of this year? What was the best, next to The Mandalorian, what was the next best thing of media, either interactive or time-based media that you consumed in 2020? Something eye-opening. I think I watched that Michael Moore produced documentary on the fallacies of green energy. That was pretty important. Read a bunch of books. I really like Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Whitney Cummings' podcast has been enlightening, as well as the Joe Rogan Experience. I have not listened to Joe since he's gone to Spotify, though, and I miss him. I miss the Joe Show a lot. Can I select the outside of this? Nope, not yet. I just want to wrap this up. There's a lot of junk out there. I'm going to have to hand paint it. Make this a multiply layer. Let's see what y'all writing. Drew says that's be tough with nothing to drink, but 2 hours isn't bad for a ball game. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if there's a way to do it and do it safely and still get concessions and stuff. Caps lock again. We go a little on the green side, a little on the green's heel to contrast with that blue. So I'm painting on a middle layer between the blue background. It just feels good. Coloring just feels good. It's therapeutic. Like, who doesn't like doing a coloring book every once in a while? So this is drawing your own coloring book. Something like that. This is the base. Let's go a little warmer for the sun side. Sunny side. So the top, things looking up. Gonna get a little bit of sun. %30 on the angle. And then let's go a little blue, maybe purple. That'd be fun. Like purple underneath. That'd be interesting. Let's try that. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Purple against the green's nice. Contrasts pretty well. Something like that there. Blue, kind of ambient occlusion. creases, a little blue for the astromech droid. I think the cockpit is a slightly darker metal color, typically. And then there's these markings, and I don't remember the exact like lines and stuff, but they have these. There is some kind of invasion stripe type marking on the X-wings. Is the nose red too? I feel like the nose is red sometimes. And then there's like some kind of pilot Wedge Antilles kind of marking stuff. And I think the engines are red. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. Could be kind of cool. And in the background, we could darken up. Let's make it real dark. You could do some crazy nebula type stuff. I don't know. It's flying through a nebula. Because that's fun. And some dots. It's flying through space. Drew says, I watched so much content this year on TV, YouTube, Prime, etc. Prime. I'm liking the Scott Galloway market analysis stuff. Like Prof G. You can do some cool motion stuff, blur in Photoshop. So maybe I'll just have a little bit of an angle on that. Just for funsies. A little more motion blur. Be kind of cool. All right, let's paint over. Let's merge this stuff together and paint over it. Oh, interesting. It like didn't really keep. Let's just draw on top of it. Just get some real nice strong highlights just on top of everything. Those engines, I know those engines get darker than the main body. A little abused, a little rusted, a little heat affected. Got some Durasteel. What's interesting about the X-wings from a design point of view is like the Rebel Alliance is supposed to be this like scrappy, weak force. Like they have weapons, but they're not the Empire. The Empire is supposed to have all the guns and all the weapons. And there's this big, unyielding, enormous enemy. So this is supposed to be some kind of asymmetric fight. But the X-wing is a superior fighter to a TIE fighter in terms of durability and firepower. It's kind of interesting about it. I think the TIE fighter is supposed to be more maneuverable, but they're not shielded. X-wings are supposed to have shields and hyperdrives and all kinds of cool stuff. So it'd be like if, it'd be like if America was fighting the Taliban, but the Americans only had helicopters and the Taliban had F-15 Strike Eagles. It's kind of what it feels like. Somehow The rebels are paying top dollar for tougher interceptors, air superiority weapon systems. Or maybe it's just the pilots. Maybe the rebels just got some damn good pilots like Wedge Antilles and Poe Dameron. They got these hot shots, these aces that just know how to dogfight. And the Imperials just can't hit anything. They just go for volume. Lots and lots of gear, lots of cheap equipment. I think it's more of like a Russian model. Like, let's just outnumber the enemy. It doesn't matter if we have the best stuff. We just have the numbers to destroy them. There's a lot of F-15 in a X-Wing. Man, really want to watch some Empire Strikes Back this evening. Maybe I'll do that. Just experiment with different colors. We get some of that teal, green. It looks like some kind of weird alloy. It's not just the steel, but some kind of mixed metal that's got different properties to it. And sometimes indicating some kind of differences in panels is good on a spaceship. You can just make lines that seem to do techie kind of sci-fi kind of directions and angles and stuff. And just any line that patterns down the surface might be enough to indicate to the viewer what the shape and volume of this thing is. Luke, I am your father. Not a lot of not a lot of good mother stories in Star Wars, right? Not a lot of great examples of strong moms. I feel like that's an interesting gap in the Star Wars world. Like, what if James Cameron did a Star Wars movie? You have a Sarah Connor type character. You might say, well, that was Jyn Erso in Rogue One. I don't know. Maybe. That would have been interesting if Cameron did that. I would love to see a Cameron version of Star Wars. Now, he's smarter than that. He knows he's smart enough to come up with his own IP. So he's got this Avatar thing that he has a majority percentage of everything that comes with that. Cameron realizes, at least now, that he makes more money when it's his idea. A lot more money. Now, when you're working on someone else's idea, you usually have more resources to make a better product. If you're coming up with your own idea, you have less resources, but you have a lion's share of the percentage if it takes off. Got me? Savvy? Hour 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in, hanging out, saying hi, Happy New Year's. You got to hear some Tom Rant. You got to watch some X-Wing getting drawn. X-Wings are cool. We like X-Wings. I like you guys a lot. I hope you have a wonderful New Year's Day going into a pleasant New Year's weekend. I will have some news by next Wednesday. I believe I will have news to share with all of my fans here on the Tomcast, on the YouTubes, on the Facebooks. We will see. We might have an announcement to make. Or maybe we won't have an announcement. Maybe we'll just see Tom's a little happier. We'll see. We'll see. Gonna be an exciting and very different 2021. I think. I hope. R2, where are you? Huge hero of the Star Wars universe is the R2 unit of Luke Skywalker. Yeah, that never made sense that 3PO was built by Anakin. It could just, man, it's just a child making a protocol droid who knows how to read Sith. Like, what the fuck? People think about these stories? Did they ever just, for a second, be like, does this make any sense? Does this make any sense at all? Love you too, Dustin. Dustin says, love you, buddy. Love you, man. Yeah, dog. I love you guys. It's gonna party. We're gonna party. Conservatively. Because 2020 taught me how to live on a lot less money. That's what 2020 taught me, ladies and gentlemen, is that I don't need to be spending half as much to have a good time as I was in previous years. And I hope the rest of America realizes that too, and the world for the most part, that you don't need to be showing up with caviar to a party for people to like you. You can show up with a six-pack of Natty Boh, and Tom's going to love you. Tom's going to think you're great for you bringing anything. Dude, if you want to remind Tom of college, just bring some Natty Boh, and my mind will go right back to hanging out at Micah and Baltimore. Baltimore, before I was as afraid of Baltimore. I'm very afraid of Baltimore now. I think Baltimore's got a long road to recovery. Long road to recovery. Because it ain't safe in a lot of areas in Baltimore. But is it getting better? I don't know. I'm not down there all the time. I just don't like the squeegee boys coming to my car. I don't like all the drugs. Druggies on the side of the road. We can call it for there today, ladies and gentlemen. We got XWing. Thanks for hanging out and drawing today. That was cool. That was cool. I don't like this. I want this to be a little darker. I don't. It's fine. It's fine. We had fun. We did something. We were productive, and we're talking about Star Wars. And I love Star Wars, and I love you all. And I hope you have a great weekend and a great 2021. And part of that is making it good. We are the species that affects the environment around us. You can go to Walmart and get some paint. You can go to Home Depot, get some wood. You can go bother Dustin to make you something from Art of Craftsmanship, and he might make it for you, and then you could take that axe, you could chop down a tree and build yourself something that you'll remember forever, and your grandkids will sing songs about the time that Grandpa Tom chopped down a tree and made a really bad reindeer out of some logs, and that'll be funny. So love you. Have a great day, and see you next time on the Tomcast. Bye-bye.